The Madcap Chronicles, Tales of the Absurd and Astonishing. In the tapestry of human history, the truth often outstrips fiction in its sheer oddity and capacity to amaze. This collection of facts spans bizarre wills, clever business shifts, daring escapes, and peculiar cultural norms, revealing some of the most unusual and startling events from our past. These stories not only illustrate the quirks of their times but also the vast spectrum of human creativity and resilience. Dive into the Madcap Chronicles, where each tale unveils the strange, the unexpected, and the downright bizarre from uncharted corners of history. Number 1. From soap to chewing gum, the Wrigley Pivot. William Wrigley Jr., born in 1861 in Philadelphia, moved to Chicago in the late 1890s with the ambition to start a business. He began by selling Wrigley's scouring soap. In 1892, in a bid to boost soap sales amidst fierce market competition, Wrigley innovated a marketing strategy by offering premiums, a common practice at the time. Initially, each soap purchase was accompanied by baking powder. Surprisingly, by 1895, consumers were more interested in the baking powder than the soap itself. Seizing on this trend, Wrigley pivoted his focus to baking powder, subsequently offering 2 packs of chewing gum as an incentive with each purchase. The gum, branded as Wrigley's Spearmint and Juicy Fruit, rapidly gained popularity, outstripping the demand for baking powder. By the early 20th century, Wrigley decided to concentrate exclusively on chewing gum, effectively transforming his enterprise into a burgeoning empire that would dominate the global chewing gum market for decades. Number 2. The Most Insulting Will, Francis Lord's Final Act of Spite. In the quiet suburb of Sydney, Australia, the curious and contentious will of Francis Lord came to public attention following his death in 1923. In an era where testamentary dispositions often reflected social norms and personal values, Lord's will stood out for its stark malevolence. He meticulously divided his considerable estate, valued at over £10,000, a significant fortune at the time, among friends, multiple charities, and loyal servants, thereby ensuring his legacy would be felt across his community. Yet, his final bequest to his wife, whom he had married in the summer of 1898, was shockingly derisive: 1 shilling. Attached to this meager inheritance was a morbid suggestion that she use the shilling to purchase a tram ticket to go somewhere she could drown herself. This last wish, encapsulated in his will's final clause, remains a chilling testament to a deeply troubled marital relationship. Number 3. Houdini's death-defying escape, the Chinese water torture cell. Harry Houdini, born Eric Wise in Budapest in 1874, became one of the most famous illusionists and stunt performers in history. By 1912, Houdini had added a groundbreaking act to his repertoire that would become his most iconic, the Chinese water torture cell. In this harrowing escape, Houdini was suspended upside down, with his feet locked in stocks, and lowered headfirst into a glass-fronted water tank, secured with massive padlocks. At the time, there were no legal means to patent a magic trick, which presented a unique challenge for protecting such intellectual property. Demonstrating remarkable ingenuity, Houdini circumvented these limitations by incorporating the escape into a one-act play titled Houdini Upside Down, which premiered in New York City in 1912. This allowed him to copyright the dramatic work, effectively securing his intellectual property rights over the escape routine. The stunt drew large crowds and remained a staple in his performances until his death in 1926, solidifying his legacy as the master escapologist. Number 4. Half a liter of wine for schoolchildren, France's classroom staple. Until 1956, French schoolchildren were regularly served half a liter of wine each day, believed to kill germs and prevent colds. This practice, which varied by region, included diluted wine, cider, or beer depending on local customs. These beverages were commonly consumed during breaks and meals, reflecting the era's belief in their health benefits. However, by August 1956, changing perceptions about health and the effects of alcohol on children prompted the French Ministry of Education to ban alcoholic beverages in schools, replacing them with warm milk and a piece of sugar. Number 5. Frank Fiegel, the real Popeye. Frank Rocky Fiegel, born in 1868 in Chester, Illinois, was a local legend whose physical appearance and personality traits inspired Elzie Chrysler Seeger, the creator of Popeye. Fiegel was a sailor and later a bartender, known for his strength, fighting prowess, and particularly his pop-eyed look, which earned him a distinctive place in Seeger's memories. When Seeger introduced Popeye in the Thimble Theater comic strip on January 17, 1929, the character was initially a minor figure, but his popularity quickly soared. The story of Popeye's strength deriving from spinach was influenced by a misplaced decimal point in a 1870s study by Drivey von Wolf, which inaccurately recorded spinach as containing 10 times more iron than it does, a fact not corrected until much later. This error led to the myth of spinach's exceptional health properties being popularized through Popeye's adventures. Remarkably, this boosted America's spinach consumption by 33% during the Great Depression, showcasing the profound impact of cultural icons on public behavior. Number 6. Prostitutes' candles, timed companionship in late 19th century France. In late 19th to early 20th century France, prostitutes used a unique timekeeping device, candles that burned for exactly 7 minutes, housed in elegant boxes. These candles were used to measure the duration of a client's visit, providing a discreet and practical way to manage time. Once the candle burned out, the client had to decide whether to leave or pay for more time, a method that was both efficient and discreet during a period when Paris was known for its bustling nightlife and regulated social encounters. Number 7. The 300% fatal surgery. In the mid-19th century, before the widespread use of anesthesia, surgical speed was essential to reduce patient pain and improve survival outcomes during operations. Robert Liston, a renowned British surgeon known for his speed and skill, was involved in one of the most infamous surgical procedures in history. Known as the fastest knife in the West End, Liston performed a leg amputation in 1847 that took only about 28 seconds from start to finish. However, in his haste, Liston accidentally amputated the fingers of his assistant as well. Both the patient and the assistant subsequently died from sepsis, a common occurrence in an era before antiseptics and antibiotics. Moreover, a spectator witnessing the surgery was so horrified by the bloodshed that he collapsed and later died of shock. This tragic event is often cited as the only known surgical procedure with a 300% mortality rate, where the surgeon, patient, and an observer all met fatal outcomes from a single operation. Number 8. The fly whisk incident of 1827. A pivotal moment that would drastically change the course of history for France and Algeria occurred in 1827, known as the fly whisk incident. During a heated discussion over unpaid debts owed by France, the Dey of Algiers, Hussein Dey, struck the French consul, Pierre Duval, with a fly whisk, a traditional ceremonial tool used to swat insects. This seemingly minor act of disrespect was perceived as a grave insult by the French government. This incident escalated tensions between the two nations, leading to the French naval blockade of Algiers. 3 years later, in 1830, it culminated in a full-scale French invasion, marking the beginning of a long and oppressive French colonial rule over Algeria. This occupation lasted until Algeria's hard-fought War of Independence concluded in 1962, highlighting how a small diplomatic dispute could lead to a major military and imperial endeavor. Number 9. America's ugly laws. In the late 19th century, several cities across the United States adopted what were informally known as ugly laws. These laws prohibited individuals with visible deformities or disabilities from appearing in public spaces. The first of these laws was enacted in San Francisco in 1867. The ordinance stated that any person who was diseased, maimed, mutilated, or in any way deformed, so as to be an unsightly or disgusting object, or an improper person to be allowed in or on the public ways or other public places in this city, shall not therein or thereon expose himself or herself to public view. The motivation behind these laws was to control the aesthetics of public spaces by preventing anyone who might cause discomfort or aversion among the populace from being visible. These discriminatory laws were enforced with fines ranging from $1 to $50 and remained on the books in some places until the mid-1970s, when societal attitudes towards disability and deformity began to shift towards greater acceptance and inclusion. Number 10. Art torture in the Spanish Civil War. During the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, psychological warfare took a unique and disturbing form through the use of modern art. Under Francisco Franco's regime, certain prisoners were subjected to what was dubbed as arc torture, a method designed to break down the prisoners' spirits and enforce conformity. The cells in which these prisoners were held were intentionally designed to disorient and discomfort. They featured replicas of paintings by prominent modern artists like Salvador Dali and Vasily Kandinsky, whose abstract and surreal artworks were considered degenerate by the nationalist faction. To further the mental disarray, the beds in these cells were angled at 20 degrees, making restful sleep impossible. The floors were embedded with uneven bricks, causing discomfort and pain to the prisoners as they moved. Additionally, prisoners were forced to watch Luis Buñuel and Salvador Dali's 1929 surrealist film Un Chien Ana Lu, known for its graphic and disturbing scenes, including the infamous eyeball slicing sequence. This combination of visual and physical disturbances was intended to weaken the resolve and mental stability of the captives, showcasing a brutal intersection of art and psychological torment.